What's up, guys? I decided to make a little video today. As you can see, I had a collapse on X. On my recent live on the Holyhood page, I had a recent collapse. Yes, I did, because I am tired of the freaking lies that are being spread. So I decided to make a short share footage in this video. Every country has a background, and it's important to study that background, if it was good before, what happened after. You know, all these stupid narratives that people are launching, like to attack the Hindus, attack the Kurds, attacks someone attack the Jews. The funny thing is, if you were to take a deep look, this is Arab supremacy. It's not even in the Quran. So I want people to take deep look at how did Pakistan's country got Arabized, and the cultures unknown today. If anybody's smart, you'll keep your culture, not be Arabized. Just let's take a look inside and take a deep look. Good and suddenly change. Take a deep look in.
मिस्टर भुट्टो की हुकूमत खत्म हो चुकी है। सारे मुल्क में माशाल्लाह नाफिज कर दिया गया है। कौमी और सूबाई असेंबलियां तोड़ दी गई हैं। सूबाई गवर्नर और वजीर हटा दिए गए हैं।
On 5th July 1977, the third martial law was imposed in Pakistan, and with that, the process of so-called Islamization, or more appropriately, Arabization, began, that changed the country for generations to come, if not forever. The cover was provided by the Soviet Union's interference in Afghanistan in 1979. Since initially Zia's government had received a major negative backlash from the public, it was necessary to divert the people's attention. The Americans and the Saudis wanted the communists out of Afghanistan, and the government of Pakistan needed aid and a reason to stay in power. The people of Pakistan were told that the Soviet Union is trying to reach the warm waters of the Indian Ocean, hence Pakistan would be next on its target. This justified Pakistan's interference in Afghanistan and the aid received by Saudi Arabia and the United States. Insurgent elements, now known as Taliban, were trained by Zia's regime and funded by the Saudis and Americans. It was necessary to change the mindset of the society so that jihad in Afghanistan would become acceptable, and to achieve that, Pakistan's Arabization was necessary. A country that had been relatively tolerant and liberal since its birth started moving away from its roots in the late 70s. Muhammad Ali Jinnah's 11th August speech was removed from school textbooks, and only those speeches were allowed to be published where the Qaid mentioned Islam. Even though Jinnah had used a watered-down version of religion to get support of the right-wing parties for political purposes, but Zia's government rewrote history and twisted his words to make people believe that Pakistan was supposed to be a religious theocracy. Not only that, but the idea of jihad was promoted through school textbooks, and very little has changed ever since. Taliban were also given a free rein, and hardliners were allowed to open madrassas, which further affected Pakistan's progressive culture. Draconian laws like the Hudud laws were introduced, and the blasphemy law was amended so that death became a mandatory punishment for blasphemy. These changes boosted polarization and religious extremism up to 26-fold. Drugs were also sold to fund the Afghan jihad, and the first cases of heroin addiction started to surface in the early 80s in Karachi. On the 17th of August 1988, Zia's government came to an end after his plane blew up shortly after taking off, but his legacy continues to haunt Pakistan. Not only did it give Pakistan terrorism and sectarianism in the form of an armed struggle, but it also changed the mindset of an entire society. Today, Pakistani society is full of racism, sexism, and religious intolerance, and it is brainwashed by fake history due to policies of Zia's regime in the 80s. The old, tolerant, pluralistic, and progressive Pakistan is no more, and it may never come back, as hardliners continue to gain more public support and society keeps heading towards the Stone Age.
So I hope everybody understands what I'm talking about. It's really important to understand the background. And I'm always going to wear my cultural clothes whenever I go to events like that for my family. I'm never going to stop. It's always important to understand what's the life like this before, after. And then people, when they sing about religion, it's not religion. This is made up supremacy. Let me ask somebody this. Attacking the black people while the white people attack, is that in the Christian's Bible? There's many type of white and black people, but people do it anyway and then sing it's religion. Or when you conquer some of the lands, which is history, and was that in the Bible or the Quran? No, it was not. And that's exactly how the Palestinian narrative is. It's a made of supremacy, but using religion as the source when not a lot of the things are in the Quran itself, what they're trying to use it for, and preach people in lands to preach the same thing, to become like hypnotized robots. No. So I want people to understand, if you understand your culture or history, and always look in that your country also have any non-Muslims. If it is, you are being played. And I'll leave it right there. If your country always had non-Muslims to begin with, your political leaders are playing you, and those political leaders are being played by someone. And you need to find out who it is. And that's how I'm going to conclude this video. If everybody understand this video, how Saudi Arabia Arabized Pakistan. We follow it, but we never said yes to any of the culture and the hate towards other people. That's their way, this is our way. We have non-Muslims, we have our culture. Saudi Arabia never has any of that. Neither does Iran. And it's time people wake up to that and stop obeying to this bullshit if they don't want to be humiliated as Muslims. My message in this video. I hope everybody understands. I will make it short. Take care, guys.